What's going on, guys? This is the Illegal Defense, episode 8. We're in week 8 of NFL. We're gonna get into some of the games that we had last week. A lot of crazy games, and I mean a lot of games that we kind of called right.
Yeah.
Uh, first game we're gonna get into is the Seahawks Chargers game. Seahawks came out on top, 37-23, and they seem to just keep on rolling, and they seem to keep playing well.
Yeah, and if you tuned in last week, we had this as a one of our best bets. I believe it was Seahawks +6 or 6.5. You kind of called outright that they'd probably creep in and get the win here. They did exactly that. We talked about Geno Smith recently having this offense rolling. They're surprising people. They had Rashad Penny go down. Kenneth Walker steps in.
Right in and doesn't miss a beat.
He's just a beast. He's proven as a rookie. He's a solid, starting running back. Probably one of the better running backs in the league already as a rookie, performance wise. So they're able to do enough on defense to hold the Chargers. Their offense puts up enough points. Clearly, they're one of the better scoring offenses in the league. Surprisingly,
which is crazy.
We see DK Metcalf go out, which is surely not going to help them moving forward. But look, Geno's been overcoming all odds so far. They still have Lockett. They'll lean more on the run game as they've been doing. So, but yeah, definitely a huge win for the Seahawks to cement themselves at the top of that division.
Yeah,
no
exactly.
less.
They're number one in their division with the 49ers, the Rams, and the Cardinals. So
Yeah.
that's definitely an impression to be made.
And this is something that we do actually see these things happen every year, where team goes from last to first in a division. Happens like clockwork in the NFL.
Right.
And that's a tremendous thing because of the parity that you're never that far. We hear all the time that the difference between winning and losing is razor thin, and how it's the small stuff that change everything. Well, the Seahawks come in and what it was, the toughest division in football until, or so we thought, until
The AFC West.
that AFC West kind of
And
got
then-
stacked, but that hasn't been looking that great either. But this NFC West, they come in, they would have been clearly picked to finish last with all those teams, and now they're
Right.
sitting at top of it, like you said, all those guys, and just playing impressive football. Pete Carroll, this guy, I don't know,
He's
he
just
found
feeling
youth.
alive or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's getting older, but he's still happy and joyful, and having fun with his guys, and it's a fun story and a fun team to watch.
Yeah, I think that's part of Geno's success. In Geno's earlier stages of his career, he was on the Jets, and obviously we know the kind of organization that the Jets were at the time, and he had that whole incident with the locker room, where he had gotten punched in the jaw, broke his jaw. He was out for a few weeks. I'm sure he lost a lot of people on that team's respect after that. Kind of turned into a journeyman. Played with Philip Rivers, played with Eli Manning, played with Russ, and I think that kind of translates to his game now in a sense, because it's like he had all that mentorship that he didn't have when he was on the Jets, and then he's playing with Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll's coaching him up, and you can see it in the game. You can see it throughout the game, even in the Chargers game. There was a point where Pete Carroll was telling him like, "Yo, settle down. It's all right." And I mean, he settled down and ended up scoring in that on that same exact drive. So, and he's not taking like his completion percent. I'm pretty sure he's the number one completion. He has the number one completion percentage.
Yeah, he's taking what the defense gives them.
Right.
But
He's taking shots down the field.
I was gonna say he's doing it the right way though, because he still takes shots, but he's not timid.
No.
He's not being a game manager. He's taking what he can get.
He's taking
and,
risk,
and
too.
taking and managing the risk. So that way they do it the right way. And then when your running game is clicking the way it is.
Yeah,
I mean
then-
in this game, what is this? 214 to 58.
Yeah,
Rushing
that's
yards,
crazy
I mean, look, that's
considering the
bad.
personnel. So
Yeah, and yeah. So yeah, like we said, the Seahawks team, they're playing well this year. Nice surprise team, and yeah, it'll be fun to see how far they could take this thing.
nah. So the next game that we have is the AFC North matchup that we were speaking about last week with the Browns and the Ravens. The Ravens came out on top. They came out 23-20, and they came out with a win. Um, Not the prettiest game, but the Ravens, they did get it done. Lamar and company, they did what they had to do to put up enough points to overcome the Browns, and the defense held up. Um, some things to kind of take away from this game was the continuity in the passing game. There wasn't, I mean, Lamar talked about it in the press conference. He was like, yeah, there wasn't really much rhythm in the passing game. He only completed 9 passes, I believe. So it's kind of tough to really get going when you only give your quarterback so many opportunities to throw the ball. They even threw him in at running back in one play. It was like a 4th and 1 play, I believe, towards the end of the game. But yeah, I mean the Ravens, they can build on this. They can try to move forward and try to, and again, it was a division game, so that's great that they got the W. And yeah, we'll see what happens with that. But it was a pretty pretty straight game, just a lot of running, a lot of just kind of like what we talked about last week and kind of what we anticipated.
Yeah, and for a Ravens team, this is a very fortunate win for them because they go against a Browns team. This is a Browns team that we know they could get going. Nick Chubb could kind of take over games running the ball. He's hard to stop. He's gonna get his no matter what. But for the Ravens to, like you said, complete only like 9 passes or so, and still come out with the win after some of the things haven't went their way this year is a nice change of events for a Ravens team that I think everyone still expects to compete, and make the playoffs. Like if they don't make the playoffs, I think even them themselves would say the season is a failure.
Right.
So they have playoff aspirations. They have the team to do it. We talked about last week. They have plenty of potential. It's just living up to that potential and
Yeah,
getting
and bring it out.
everything in the right place. But a win is a win. It's a divisional win at that, so counts even more. And yeah, if you're the Ravens, you're happy. If you're the Browns, you're obviously upset. But you have Deshaun Watson looming. That should be back. I mean, I've heard a chatter about other stuff now, so who knows? But
Yeah.
they knew they were kind of writing the season off and waiting for him. So they keep chugging on, but the Ravens get a much needed win here.
Yeah, I think the Browns, they'll be all right. They'll keep afloat until they kind of see out what really happens with this whole Deshaun Watson situation. It's not something that they anticipated was going to be an easy thing. I'm sure prior to even getting him. So, with that being said, we're gonna get into our next game with the Chiefs versus the 49ers. The Chiefs came out on top. The Chiefs scored 44 points versus the 49ers defense, and the 49ers were only able to put up 23 points. We saw in between the time, the 49ers were able to acquire Christian McCaffrey, which was huge. Um, Seems like the 49ers just completely annihilated the Panthers franchise. I mean, like Baker goes down, Matt Rule gets fired, and they just take their franchise running back. And Robbie Anderson is already out. He's in Arizona, and yeah, it's just crazy. But yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. The 49ers, they're good at football. They're better at destroying franchises, apparently. So yeah, they, like you said, they annihilated those Panthers. And yeah, but they come into this game against a Chiefs team that's been playing, playing very well. They living up to expectations. They have high expectations with Patrick Mahomes. There's questions about their offense after Tyreek Hill moves on. And they have to acclimate new receivers, but they've been able to put up the points here. This was a game where the 49ers were keeping pace with the Chiefs early on, and then eventually something clicks and the Chiefs
Chiefs
offense
is-
explodes and
Uh,
they just pull away in a blink. So yeah, I mean, this is a game where you kind of got to see a little preview of how this team will look with McCaffrey.
it was also a short week for McCaffrey too.
right,
So.
a very short week for McCaffrey, but you got to see glimpses of how that looks, and this is a team that I like with McCaffrey, right? We saw them keep up, but then they just couldn't keep up with the Chief offense. I mean, not many people can, and it's like the Bills, and that's about
once,
it.
Once they get a lead, it's really hard.
Yeah.
Just like we were talking about last week with Jimmy G. I mean,
Mhm.
the chances that he'll throw you into a game is slim to none.
But yeah, McCaffrey was there. He was running well. He was catching the ball well. Everything that we would expect from a McCaffrey, and he really he gives them more of what they already have, but maybe in a more dynamic way, right?
Yeah.
We know they have Debo who does the whole running and catching thing, but kind of the opposite, right? As a receiver that could kind of moonlight as a running back for a few plays and get you some production there.
Right.
But yeah, with McCaffrey now you have a solid, every down running back that takes the pressure off a lot of the other guys, lets them use them in different ways for their offense. And the defense has to key in on McCaffrey every time. We know he's one of the better backs in the league. And any way he gets it, catching or running it can take it to the house at any moment. So it was fun to
nice
see
to
their
see,
offense and see that. I think for McCaffrey, huge change of pace being on the Panthers all these years. And we know he's had the injuries, but then when he's playing, they're not very good either. Now he gets to be on a team that we saw
Consistently good.
Yeah, they're a consistently good team. Great defense behind them. They want to run the ball a lot, so he's not going to lack carries there. And they're a team that they're shooting for another deep playoff run. So
Yeah. I think it works out for him too because it's kind of like with their personnel, they don't just stick to one running back. They rotate those running backs a lot, and it'll keep his legs fresh, and two, it's not so much of a load on him to where he has to be the whole focal point of that offense.
Right.
Where he wasn't in Carolina, it was just Christian McCaffrey, and that was really it. Again, I think it'll be fun to see how Kyle Shanahan utilizes him, but I mean, great addition. I think we'll see a lot more from him. We just got like a little hint of it. He's also in his hometown.
I was gonna say that.
So
yeah, he gets to come
is
back
a
to the
huge
West Coast.
factor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you play in your hometown. It's like a whole different kind of feel. It's almost in a sense. I mean, Odell played in LA last year, and we saw his whole mantra kind of change, where it was like, okay, he had that spark. So that may be the same thing that the Niners might get with McCaffrey. But yeah, I mean, it was a close game at first, and then the Chiefs just got away with it. And I mean, the Chiefs are rolling, and they look like one of the top teams to be in the playoffs and probably make a deep run again. So